As the month of February nears completion, 2 weekends of SEC baseball are officially in the books. These are my latest power rankings as we enter the third week of SEC play. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. This segment brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $150 in bonus bets today. 2 weekends of SEC baseball are officially in the books, and the schedule is starting to heat up. But first, these are my latest SEC baseball power rankings as we sit in the final week of the month of February, and we'll pull up each of my selections starting at number 16. And no surprise here, the Missouri Tigers. And I'll be honest with you guys, because there's going to be a lot of movement in these power rankings, and I'm sure you see that at first glance, obviously. There's going to be a lot of movement. I will be really surprised if Mizzou ever comes out of this 16 spot. To go 1-2 in an HBCU tournament, with all due respect to the competition they played. Guys, simply put, we don't need to spend a lot of time here, and I love Carrick Jackson, and I wish him well, and I hope things work out. But this Mizzou team right now sucks. There's just no other way to put it. Mizzou sucks. I mean, you couldn't think of a worse start to the season, a nightmare start. I don't know how the Tigers rebound and respond. Granted, it's baseball, and it's a long season, and I'm not saying they're not going to win a conference game, but what would you set the over-under at right now? Like 4.5, 5.5, maybe? I mean, do they even get close to double-digit wins? I doubt it. I don't think so. So, again, Mizzou at number 16. I'll be really surprised if they move out of this slot this season. At number 15, guys, I've got the Kentucky Wildcats. And Kentucky, I mean, they're just down here because we just really don't know what we don't know. You know, Nick Mingione's squad, obviously I was low on them coming into the season. They take care of their business over the weekend. It's weird. They'll play their first home game this week. Been on the road in Nashville, Tennessee, playing the likes of Belmont and others. But, you know, Kentucky taking care of the business, but I think just more proven commodities ahead of them. So right now, 15 is where I have the Cats. Number 14, I've got the Auburn Tigers. Kind of the same thing with them. They swept over the weekend, had a successful weekend against Wright State, obviously did it in impressive fashion. Ike Irish has been a star, obviously, to this point. Cooper McMurray, another one. They had the big midweek win last week. Top 25 win, by the way, against Troy. Just need to see more from Auburn right now. 14 is where I have them. 13, I've got South Carolina. I did bump them up a spot. Guys, they're undefeated. I mean, South Carolina, yeah, give them credit. They're taking care of business. It's not the flashiest. I mean, they've had a few of their run rule wins, if you will, but you're seeing a lot of lower scoring games, 5-3, 6-4, stuff like that. This is going to be the big test this weekend. This weekend's the big test for them. They've got the annual rivalry series, one of the best rivalries in all of college baseball, against the Clemson Tigers, Friday in Clemson, Saturday in Greenville, South Carolina, and then, of course, Sunday in Columbia. You win 2 or 3 there, it'll be a big statement. We'll find out a lot more about the Gamecocks after this weekend. Number 12, I've got the Ole Miss Rebels. They keep on keeping on. Successful weekend, taking down Eastern Kentucky in a 3-game set, sweeping that series. Hunter Elliott, I think, is the thing that's really encouraging for me. He continues to look really, really good. I think he's got a chance to be one of the better aces in the SEC and really all of college baseball. Great to see him back healthy and really dealing for the Rebels. So, again, Ole Miss for me at number 12. Mississippi State, I've got number 11. Again, they keep on keeping on as well. Pico Khan looked really good in his start over the weekend. The Bats are staying hot, taking care of their business in non-conference play. Again, we will learn more about Mississippi State. And we saw them last week in the midweek lose to Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. You know, tough game. And by the way, Ole Miss gets that same Southern Miss team this week. But we'll learn more about Mississippi State, guys. They've got a tough midweek this week and the weekend in the tournament they're playing in. The likes of Tennessee, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, some others are also in that. I believe that tournament is in Houston. We're going to find out more about this Bulldogs club this weekend, that's for sure. At number 10, guys, I've got the Vanderbilt Commodores. I thought Vandy had a really, really good weekend, sneaky good weekend. R.J. Austin continues to tear the cover off the baseball game. They sweep St. Mary's over the weekend. I'm still kind of 50-50 on Vandy. Like, I'm not overly high on them when it comes to the overall outlook of the entire season. But I do like what I've seen thus far in regards to, again, R.J. Austin being the leader of that offense. They needed somebody to step up and to be that guy, and I do think Austin can be him. Again, he's off to a great start in the 2025 season. Guys, number 9, I've got the Alabama Crimson Tide. What a weekend for Alabama. You're going to notice, by the way, all the teams from 10 to essentially 15, we really just slid down 2 spots because there were 2 teams that obviously were big-time winners over this previous weekend. Alabama being one of them. They win the Jacksonville College Baseball Classic. I was there in person in Jax to watch them. Bama looked really good. You know, I still want to see more from their sticks as we continue throughout the season. I think that's going to be something that can a few more guys emerge. I don't know that they have quite as much pop as some of these other teams ahead of them. But I tell you this, that 1-2 punch is Zane Adams and Riley Quick. Those guys were fantastic. I mean, those guys were absolutely fantastic. It's going to be a bit of a mystery still, I think, on Sundays, which a lot of teams you could say that for. But that 1-2 punch, and I thought the bullpen did a really good job on Sunday as well, holding Ohio State at bay so the offense could chip away. Obviously led to the Will Hodo home run, the walk-off to seal it. Justin LeBron's a beast, but huge weekend for Alabama. I don't think they're going to compete to win the league by any means, but man, I think they can be one hell of a middle of the pack team in the SEC, a really, really stingy team in the middle of the pack. And again, I got Bama at 9 after the big weekend in Jacksonville. Guys, number 8, I got the Texas Longhorns. Texas, they sweep the weekend against Dartmouth. I know the scores weren't impressive, and I'm not trying to bail them out here or cop out, but the weather was just absolutely horrific in Austin, Texas. I don't think you're going to see Texas, play in many 4-1 games, 3-2, some of the scores they had over the weekend. So Texas, not a lot of movement for them. They will play in the tournament this weekend in Vegas. So going to be interesting to see them. The field isn't crazy deep in that one, but yeah, going to be a lot of fun to continue to follow. I mean, Jared Spencer continues to be fantastic with him. He was really, really good in that Friday night spot yet again, but I wouldn't look too much into the scores over the weekend. Texas, for the most part, staying put for me in my power rankings, number 8. Number 7, this was the winner of the weekend in college baseball. I've got the Oklahoma Sooners, who finally crack into the top 25, much deserved. I mean, man, what a weekend for them. We talked about late last week going into that Round Rock Classic that they were in, that if Oklahoma was able to go 2-1, it would have been a great weekend for them. Guys, they go 3-0 with a pair of top 10 wins over Oregon State and Virginia. I mean, you talk about a statement. You talk about a loud weekend. Now, again, does this mean that Oklahoma is going to win the SEC this season? That's not what it means at all. But I do think Oklahoma, they made a statement to me much better, I think, than maybe we even thought at this point. Skip Johnson, one of the best coaches in the SEC and all of college baseball, the job he's done in Norman. I talked about it, guys, earlier this week. I just hope OU invests in that program the way they should, but really good early signs, right? The pitching performances you got from Kyson Witherspoon, Malachi, his brother as well, what you saw from Easton Carmichael and Jackson Willits in the lineup. We'll see how they build off this, but a loud statement weekend by the Oklahoma Sooners. I love what I saw. Deservedly so. They get the bump up, the biggest bump up in this week's power rankings. Really excited to see what kind of force OU can be. And by the way, guys, we talked about this in the preseason. The schedule for them in SEC play, it's fairly manageable. I mean, it's not easy. There's no such thing as an easy SEC baseball schedule, but it's manageable when you look at who they miss, who they get, where they get them. I'm excited to watch Boomer Sooner the rest of the way and see how they build off of this. Because, again, you beat Oregon State and Virginia. I mean, that's a pair of teams, guys, that a lot of people had in their preseason Omaha 8. Some folks were picking those teams to compete for the national championship. So, I mean, you can't say enough good things about Oklahoma's weekend in Round Rock, Texas. Guys, number 6, I've got the Arkansas Razorbacks. They go to Globe Life, go 2-1. I'm just still concerned about the hitting. That's the biggest thing. And I know they scored 8 runs on Sunday against Michigan. And you give credit, by the way. Again, you go 2-1. That was a really, really good tournament field. I'm curious what the status of Gage Wood is. Obviously, he leaves the game on Sunday early in the 3rd inning. Really curious what his status is. Gabe Gackel's a fantastic pitcher. Zach Root's a fantastic pitcher as well. I mean, they're going to pitch. It just all comes down to hitting. Can the Aloy brothers, can they lead the offense? Can Kendall Diggs get going? I love Iredale. Can he be the leader of the offense? That's the big question. I'm still high on Arkansas, and I know Hog fans are going to get tired of hearing me saying it because I'm probably going to say it every week until we get answers. I just am keeping a close eye on the hitting. And now I'm keeping a close eye on Gage Wood and what his status is. But if the Hogs can hit a little bit, they're going to pitch. I mean, we saw it in the Saturday game. They win that game 2-1 against TCU. They're going to pitch. But you saw Friday when you're not able to get big knocks, it's just hard to win those low-scoring one-run ball games all the time. So that's going to be the big question. Great way to close out the weekend Sunday. They're beating what I think is a pretty quality Michigan team, 8-6. Bats came alive. You love to see it there for the Hogs. Number 5, guys, I've got the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, what you're going to notice here is this early in the season, there's movement in the power rankings. Why is there some movement? Guys, the way you're winning matters. And I know it's non-conference competition, and you take it with a grain of salt. But not everybody's winning the same way right now. Again, which is why you see a shakeup at the top. Georgia at number 5, man, they're pounding the baseball. I mean, they're scoring 15, 17, 20 runs in ball games. We'll see. We'll see. There's going to be fluctuation, guys. There's going to be movement. You know, what's the point of doing power rankings if there's not some movement? We're not giving credit where credit's due to some of these teams that are showing up and showing out. Georgia at 5. My bigger questions are still around the pitching, but the pitching has been good at this point. You know, they had obviously made headlines with the big midweek against Kennesaw State and what Curley did at the end of the game last week. But I love this Georgia lineup. I think 1 through 9, they're stout. I love some of the transfers they brought in. You know, we'll continue to learn more about Georgia. They don't really have like a big non-conference series. So, I mean, guys, it may be till SEC play until we really know what Georgia is. But I think Georgia, they're a top third at minimum, I think, of the league. That's the type of caliber program and caliber ball club they are in this season. I think that's what Georgia is. Number 4, guys, I've got the LSU Tigers. Kind of an interesting weekend for LSU. Dropping game 2 to Omaha where they got 1 hit. Going into the 9th inning, almost came all the way back and won it, so they lose game 2. Again, guys, I'm still really high on LSU. I like LSU a lot. I think right now what you're seeing is maybe some early, I don't even want to say growing pains because that feels a little aggressive because LSU's been really, really good. You're just seeing some freshmen and some young guys and some new guys get their feet wet, the Curiels of the world. Some of the others, Ashton Larson, some of the other guys, they're kind of toying around. You can tell. I watched LSU actually late last night on Monday night. You know, we're recording this on Tuesday. Watched LSU on Monday night. They're toying around with the lineup, trying some different guys, experimenting some different things. So, listen, you lose 1 game, it's no big deal. And I tell you this, there isn't a more entertaining fan base on social media when their team is losing a baseball game than LSU fans because of the passion, and you love that. And I love the passion, but LSU's going to be fine. And by the way, talking to folks that watch that series, big LSU fans, you know, and I know LSU folks don't want to hear this. From what I was told, that Omaha pitching staff is for real. Like, Omaha's got some dudes on that pitching staff. So LSU's going to be just fine. They've got a big opportunity, not just in the weekend, but the midweek this week, guys. The headliner of the midweek slate, LSU takes on Dallas Baptist on Wednesday night, a top 20 matchup at Globe Life in Arlington. And then this weekend, they are playing in a tournament out in Texas as well. That one is which one is that? I'm blanking on which tournament it is, but again, a pretty good field. I do recall a good field. Or they're playing in the one in Frisco. That's it, Frisco. I'm getting my cities confused. Playing in the tournament in Frisco, going to be a lot of fun. And again, a good challenge and a good test for the LSU Tigers this weekend. Guys, at number 3, I've got the Texas A&M Aggies. Obviously, the huge blow this week. Gavin Grahovic is out for the season, which, again, I think is very significant. I mean, we're talking about a guy that won Freshman of the Year last year. This isn't just some role player or some insignificant piece. I mean, this is a dude we all counted on, expected to be a big part of that lineup. You look at what A&M did over the weekend. You drop the final game to Cal Poly. I'm not overreacting to that. Again, the weather wasn't great in College Station either. I mentioned Austin, Texas. It wasn't great in College Station either. But, you know, it's been a bit of a slow start for A&M. From the standpoint of, again, guys, we talked about this in preseason. Why is it so tough? There's so much pressure. There's so much expectation. The bullseye is on their back. The target's on their back, if you will. And that's not to say that Texas A&M isn't going to have a great year, because I think they're going to, but the way teams are winning and losing matters. Period, point blank, in a discussion. A&M, a little bit slower out of the gate than the two teams ahead of them. And again, what does the Grahovic injury mean for them? They got an interesting midweek, by the way, against Texas State. Keep an eye on that one. But Texas A&M dropping from the 1 spot to 3 for me. My top 2, at number 2, guys, I got the Florida Gators. I'm really high on Florida. I mean, dude, they're just kind of quietly just beating ass. I mean, they are putting belt to ass quietly, it seems, every time they take the field. And how about this? Florida won a midweek game last week. Wouldn't you look at that? Florida, who struggled to win any type of midweek game, beat Jacksonville last week in the midweek. They got 2 interesting ones this week. At Stetson, at Stetson on Tuesday night. They then have North Florida Wednesday night in Gainesville. And, of course, upcoming this weekend, we will be there in person. Florida taking on the Miami Hurricanes in a 3-game set. One of the better rivalries in college baseball. I cannot wait to experience it. My first ever Conjuring family ballpark experience. But Florida, man, again, they've just been taking care of business. Their weekend rotation, guys, has a chance to be maybe the best in the SEC. When you look at Liam Peterson, Pierce Capala, Jake Clemente, they are making, they are making a switch up in their weekend rotation this weekend against Miami, sliding Capala in that 2 spot, Clemente in that 3 spot. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But, I mean, dude, I love the weekend rotation. And then you look at their lineup. Every time I log in social media, I see Bobby Bozer's name. You look at other guys, Luke Heyman, Colby Shelton. I mean, they're as deep as any, guys. I mean, really, truly, they've got dudes on dudes. They're going to smash. Brody Donay, who's cooled off a little bit. He was like the hottest hitter on the planet, but cooled off a little bit. But, dude, I mean, Florida's a team I just don't think we talked about enough for the season, to be totally honest with you. And I think they're showing that. Florida putting belt to ass to everybody. Going to be a fun weekend in Gainesville. I can't wait to get down there. I've got them at number 2. And, guys, at number 1, here we are. Man, the Vols are just inevitable. Tony Vitello and company. And, I put Tennessee at 1 this week because, again, it's not just about the fact they're winning, the fact they're undefeated, the way Tennessee is winning baseball games. Guys, this might be the best lineup in the country. I mean, it's crazy. Excuse me. It's crazy to say that after they lost the likes of Christian Moore and Blake Burke, but it might be the best lineup in the country, really, truly. And then, guys, you look at the pitching staff. Liam Doyle might be the best ace in the SEC. What Marcus Phillips is doing thus far, he's been fantastic. Nate Snead in game 3s. Tennessee does not rebuild, they reload, friends. And right now, again, the way they're playing, I would take Tennessee truly against anybody. Let's not forget, that's also what the power rankings are. I think this team ahead of this team would beat this team. I'd be hard-pressed to pick anybody to beat Tennessee right now. And it's early, and it's non-conference, and I totally understand that. We'll see Tennessee this weekend, like I mentioned, in that tournament in Houston. Really excited to see Tennessee take on some competition, try to pick on somebody their own size, if you will. But, dude, the way Tennessee is just beating people, I mean, they look the part. I mean, Tennessee looks the part, truly. They've been incredible to this point. They had the one close game against Samford on Saturday, but for the most part, guys, they are just, again, belt to ass. They're scoring 29 runs in a game. And I understand, again, it's non-conference. I don't want to overreact. But you got to give credit where credit's due. I don't think anybody's hotter than the Vols. When you look swinging the stick on the mound, I mean, they are just they look like a national championship contender yet again. Again, they might have the best lineup. They might have the best ace in the conference. It's hard to pick against Tennessee right now. So, guys, that's my power rankings going into the 3rd week of the 2025 SEC baseball season. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? How would you power rank the teams of the SEC after 2 weekends of play completed? Guys, that's going to do all for me. Before we get out of here, though, I do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because, of course, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Guys, once again, those are my power rankings. What are your thoughts? You agree? Do you disagree? And how would you power rank the teams of the SEC after 2 weekends complete on the Diamond? Guys, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.